Good evening and welcome to Book Passage. Thank you so much for coming and patronizing this great establishment. Small bookstores, as you know, are a very precious commodity in our society today. We really value your coming here, and we value writers like Cassie. My name is Amanda, and I first met Cassie 17 years ago at Pixie Park with our children. And one of the things I remember about Cassie was how she spoke about her husband, how she referred to him, how she was worried. I think he had an accident in the garage and injured himself, and I remember her worry, her concern, her immediate distress, but also with profound love, and I always kind of marked that. And I just heard her say to someone in the back, we all deserve that. And I think that in the end, that is the success behind what she's writing and in her matchmaking. So without further ado, a good friend of hers, Elizabeth Hitchcock, would like to introduce her.
And I am Elizabeth Hitchcock, and as Henry VIII said to each of his wives, I will not keep you long. And thank goodness for us ladies, times have changed. But what hasn't is the number of relationship transitions adults are experiencing at this time in their lives is at an all-time high. So tonight's topic, Finding Love After 50, has never been more timely, particularly as discussed by our author, Cassie Zampa Kime, a true industry insider and expert with 3 decades in the industry and over 10,000 singles engaged with or served. She has a profound understanding of the dating landscape. And I know, because like hundreds of singles, I'm a former client. Widowed at 43, mourned for a year, and then started dating in Manhattan, one of the toughest dating markets for educated single women in the world. And have never dated at my all-girls college. I was so new to the process, I had afterbirth. I was literally the Exxon Valdez of dating. I tried all of the major dating sites, niche sites, fix-ups, airbrushed professional matchmakers, books, articles, the web. I basically became a dating anthropologist. And then one day, after years of tears and fears, my world changed forever in a moment. A friend told me about a firm, Innovative Match, and a woman on the West Coast who did amazing work with single women over 40. Fast forward, I signed on and remarkably went from wallflower to willpower, learning so many of the lessons that you'll discover tonight and in this book. And net, 2 weeks ago, my boyfriend, Scott, who was everything plus that I had asked Cassie to help me find, took me to Barcelona and proposed. And we're engaged to be married. And as I recently told a friend, without Cassie's unparalleled knowledge of the dating landscape, human behavior, and boots on the ground, take no prisoners approach, making it happen, I believe I would have ended my life alone. So please help me in extending a very warm welcome to this prolific author, speaker, dating and life coach, matchmaker, founder, and CEO of Innovative Match, and a business and community leader who has received so many accolades, including recently one of the world's top matchmakers, Miss Cassie Zampa Kime.
Thank you so much for coming tonight. I really appreciate it so much seeing all of you here. I know what it takes to come out on a Friday night, so thank you. And a big thank you to Book Passage. When I found out that I was going to speak, I literally cried. I was so honored and so touched to be here, and especially to see Amanda again. And I walk in and see so many friends and new faces and clients and everybody just seems so happy. So thank you for coming. So I wanted to tell you a little bit about the front cover of my book. I have to walk and talk, by the way, because it helps me think, so bear with me. I move around. Well, actually, hold on. I do have to say one more thank you to Danielle Mahaka. Can you please stand up? Because the reason why, so let me tell you about my relationship with Danielle, because this book would not be in my hands right now if it wasn't for Danielle. I met Danielle 2 years ago, and we spent 18 months together with writing this book. I paced and talked, and she kept me focused, and she wrote, and she became my voice, which allowed this book to be here today. What is so special about this book, and why I call myself an industry insider, is because I've been working with single, primarily women, for almost 30 years. And so when I look at this, I say, thank you so much for letting me speak to a broader audience, to the women out there that are looking for connection, who cannot afford matchmakers, who are stuck in ways where they don't know how to date, and they really don't know where to start. And this is what this book is about. When you look at the front cover, there's a photo of a highway and a heart. I always say that life is a journey, but I say that really it's the romance highway. And I'm going to read to you what I mean by the romance highway. I use the metaphor of the romance highway to emphasize that dating is not like a tunnel with only one way through and no detours. Highways offer multiple routes, different speeds, off-ramps, frontage roads, and rest stops. Your journey will be based on your life as it is today and will not be exactly like anyone else's. My goal is to help you see who you are and what brings you joy, an awareness that will increase your confidence. This book will start you on a journey of self-discovery and an exciting evolutionary process that begins a new level of self-knowledge, clarity, and ultimately relationship success. Excited? Great. Buckle up, pack appropriately, and let your trip down the romance highway begin. Okay, so I want to talk to you a little bit about my experience and why I call myself an industry insider. Can you hear me when I move?
Yeah.
Yes. Okay. So I looked for a job. I was out of college and I needed to work. And I had no idea what I was going to do. I was in my early 20s. And I bumped into a woman who was divorced with 2 young kids and said, I'm starting a matchmaking firm. And I thought, well, what is a matchmaking firm? There was nothing out there like it. In fact, it wasn't even an industry. She decided that she was going to work for singles and start this company introducing people. So I thought, that sounds great. I told my parents I thought I was nuts, but I said, I'm going to do this, right? I'm going to get a paycheck. It's going to be fun. I had no idea where it was going to lead me to where I am today. I love love. I'm very passionate about what I do, and I believe in the power of human connection. When I started working with this woman, I had previously gone through an illness that stopped me in my tracks. I was faced with my mortality, and one of the things that affected me the most is I thought to myself, what am I going to miss? I'm going to miss human connection. I'm going to miss loving and to be loved. And right then and there, I said, I know exactly what I want to do and how I was going to put that into motion. I started working in this company. I had so much fun. The first 5 years, just growing it, and I immediately was drawn to the demographics of 45, 50, 55, and 60 and older. I felt the compassion and the feeling of longing to love again, the feeling of loss. What happened in the industry is as it got bigger and bigger and bigger, many women started to go to matchmakers. And there was not a lot of men that had signed up. It was a big boom. Women gravitated towards them because they felt that, okay, it's going to be safe, and these people are going to be screened. So in 2008, I was called to find men. My job was to find men. And I had taken a little bit of a break because I had my kids, and no, I did not meet my husband in the matchmaking company. I met him somewhere else. But anyway, I took a break and I had kids, but I still consulted in the industry, and I loved it and missed it. But I got a phone call in 2008 and said, we need men. And I thought, well, how am I going to find men? I'm married. They said, no, we need to bring in a lot of men. That's your job. And I was like, okay, I'm going to figure out how I'm going to do this. Plus, I need to make money. I'm going to get paid per man. I had to bring in a lot of men to live in the county. Okay, so I was like, okay, this is my job. How am I going to figure this out? So what I started to do was I started to look at online. And at the time that I started looking at online dating sites, Match.com was like a bad rash. Nobody wanted to talk about it. It was like, I am not on Match.com. Are you on Match.com? No, I'm not. Nobody wanted to go on. Nobody wanted to admit it. Nobody wanted to use it because there wasn't a lot of publicity out there, and there wasn't a lot of statistics that saying how great it was. And it was still something that we felt, women felt, and men, particularly women, that if we go online, we're desperate, right? And somebody's going to see me. My ex is going to see me. There's so many different feelings about putting yourself out there publicly. So from 2008 to 2010, I spent Monday through Friday and even Saturdays reading every day 50 to 75 to 100 profiles nationwide. And I cannot tell you how overwhelmed I was to read these profiles, to see people out there with courage and saying, I want to connect with somebody. And the feeling of knowing that these men were looking for men, they were looking for women online. And I was so inspired. So I spent that 2 years researching, and it was still a subject of online that nobody really wanted to talk about. And it was great. I switched zip codes. I was in Boston one week, and Florida and the other, and LA and San Francisco. I traveled virtually, just sitting in my chair in front of my computer, because I wanted to connect with all these men. These men ended up coming into the database, and what's so fantastic about it is they found love. They were connecting. These men that were sought out to, well, these men aren't, there's going to be no good men out there. They're fantastic. And I saw the connections. I saw what was happening, and I loved it, and I got paid. So it all worked out really well. In 2010, I wanted to go out on my own because I saw a big need with online. And I saw that, time, as we all know, time goes by very fast. It's very precious. And how do we really want to utilize our time? And especially when we're older, because we get it. And time management is key. And so I realized with online dating sites that it takes a lot of time. So I decided to start a company managing online dating sites. I wrote profiles, I put photos up, I did searching, I taught my clients how to find that right partner. And I loved it. But what I realized in the last couple of years is no matter how many dates my clients would go on, it doesn't matter if you don't date smart. So I started to teach date smart strategies, and I really believe in this method because when you date smart, not only are you able to use your time wisely, but you're able to help yourself identify that right partner. So when I talk about dating smart, first I want to talk to you about, as I brought up, time, but when I get phone calls, when somebody calls me and says, I'm interested in dating, and they go through their list of what they want, and they go through their list of what they don't want, I just sit and listen, and then I just say, I have a question I want to ask you. And okay, and I said, would you date yourself? Would you date yourself? And some people just are shocked. No one's ever asked me that. That's right, that's why I'm asking you. Would you date yourself? Some answers I get no. Some answers I get, well, maybe, or yes. You need to get to the yes to start dating because you have to come from a place where you feel really good about yourself. And that takes time, and there are things that you want to change, but you have to come from that place of saying, yes, I like who I am. And I want to meet somebody that's like-minded. And I feel good about where I'm at today. There's things that I might want to change, but I like who I am. You need to get to that place. I'm going to read something about that from my book. It explains it a little bit more. I think is kind of an important thing. See, as you know, I have to walk and talk, so I have to sit here right now, stand. This is about, would you date yourself? So, dating in the 21st century feels very different than it did last century, and it is. Technology has infiltrated our lives in so many ways, including dating. Communication modes have changed. The expectations for dates have changed, and more women have bigger roles in the workforce. But it's not only the dating world that is different. You are different now than you were in your 20s and 30s, and that plays a big role in the understanding what dating can be for you today and how you can be successful at it. Confidence is so important in finding a partner, and part of that confidence comes from knowing and owning and even loving who you are today. It also comes from having a voice and knowing how and when to use it. You might not be there yet, but that is okay. This book will help you develop both confidence and your voice. Like so many women, need to rediscover both. In this process, you will look at your life and see where you are and what you need and want. I can't say it enough. Knowing yourself is critical. Start by asking, would I date myself? If the answer is no, look at why. You need to go into the dating process feeling good about yourself and accepting what you are and are not. Here you actually have an advantage over people in their 20s and 30s, and you've had time to get to know yourself and are clearer about who you are and whom you want in your life. For some people, the reasons they would not date themselves has to do with their appearance. Others recognize personality traits that can be challenging. None of these things will change overnight, but if you recognize a potential challenge to attracting others, you could start working on it. Above all, find peace with who you ultimately are and don't try to change yourself into someone you are not. Your goal is to bring your honest self to the table in life and in dating. So that's a little bit about the first part of, would you date yourself? That's a big one. The other thing I want to talk to you about is a couple of the things that I bring up in my book that I face a lot with women. So that it kind of goes into, it kind of groups into the three big topics, which is finding your voice, knowing when to walk away, and the woman warrior, no need for the spear. And this is something that I work on all the time with women. I work for very strong women. We're all very strong in our ways. And many times it's interesting how we're so strong with our kids, and we're so strong with our work, and we're so strong with our friends. But when it comes to dating, it's very difficult to actually have that voice. It's tough. And I could give you an example. This happens all the time. My client will go out on a date, great date. Text her the next morning, I had a great time, do you want to go out Friday night? She says, great, I'll go out Friday night. She doesn't hear from him all week. And now it's like Friday at 11, Friday at 2, Friday at 4, and they're sitting there, and you're saying, well, I thought we were going out tonight. And there's a frustration, like you really want to go out with this person because you had a great time, but you're frustrated because you don't know if you should cancel it because you feel kind of badly that you're even going now because he's put you through that the whole week. In his eyes, he thinks that men think, I got a date with her, right? So there's no problem, right? They go into thinking that way. Well, we don't. So many times the women that I work for are very, very strong. And so they either go from the, why didn't you call me? Or why didn't you get pretty mad, to not saying anything at all. And there's got to be a middle ground. And so I always say, if something doesn't feel right, you got to say it. It's really about the delivery. And you have to say, look, go out to dinner, have a nice time, and then say, if we're going to go out again, call me because this is something that I need and that I want. And what's interesting with women is that as strong as we are, we seem to have, I've experienced some hard times when it comes to expressing our needs and wants. The other thing is learning to walk away. And this is a big one too. And I can give you an example. I had a client that I worked with for a long time, and she found somebody she really, really liked. And it's such a great feeling for me when I know that somebody is on their way of finding love, because that's what I really want, and that's what I really believe in. And there's so much happiness and joy just thinking that the outcome can be so great. And so she's excited. They're developing a strong relationship. And then I said to her, I said, you have to make sure that you're on the same plane. You can't land in Boston and he can't land in Chicago. You guys have to land together, and you have to figure out where you are in your relationship so that you don't invest more time, right? And you have to figure out, what do you want? So she said, well, I don't really want, it's uncomfortable, right? And she runs a large company in New York City. She's strong. She said, I don't really want to do that. Because why? Because it's hard to get out there and date again. It's hard to put yourself out there. It's easier to stay, but it's not actually. It's harder to stay. And so you have to ask, where is this going? And you have to say it might not be going anywhere, and you have to be okay with that. Because dating is like a second job. You have to get in there and believe in it. And I believe so much in human connection. I believe in love. I believe that you can find love again, and I've seen it. The demographics that I work mostly with, 55, 60, 75, and 80. And I've heard great love stories, and I've been a part of it, and it's just an incredible feeling, because at the end of the day, what we really want is that connection. So I'm going to read something to you about the woman warrior, because the woman warrior is something that I also deal with a lot, and that's the way women speak, right? Women are the most powerful when we are feminine, and we don't think we are a lot of times, because we would rather not go down that route. Many of us, some do. I'm still learning, but it is our power. And when I say woman warrior, no need for the spears, I really mean that, because it's not heading into battles. And we as women, we do have to battle a lot. We're working, we're raising our children. We have so many things in our lives that we have to put that armor on. And it's just the way we are today, and it's what has transpired throughout the years. And it's a positive. But when you're in a relationship with somebody, and it just doesn't, it won't work in the long run, because the way you deliver your feelings is so important with men. And I teach that a lot, because the women, they come to me and they're, like I said, they're very, very strong. We're all strong, but you have to, in a relationship, recognize that femininity is really our power. So I want to read this to you, because this is one of my most favorite parts of my book. It's called The Woman Warrior. Awakening Your Woman Warrior Self. Becoming confident is one of the biggest and most important changes I see women I work with. So many have been in relationships where they don't have a voice or a sense of their own self-worth. And when issues come up that matter to them, they feel powerless to get what they want. The first thing you need to do is to admit to yourself that you matter in your relationships. All women do, and I work hard to instill that certainty in my clients until they believe it too. Being a woman warrior does not mean carrying a spear and heading into battle. It means that you build an internal warrior who helps you express your feelings and desires in a relationship, so that your voice is heard as clearly as everyone else's. Women who do that have no need for spears. I have found in my work that so many of my clients have wonderful, clear, powerful voices when it comes to succeeding at work, raising their families, even taking care of themselves physically. But when it comes to their intimate relationships with men, they become another person, afraid to express their feelings, hesitant to stick up for themselves, and cautious about asking questions when they don't like something. The message that women's voices don't count as much as men still underlies many aspects of our culture. Men who speak up are considered strong, bold, and able to get what they want or need, and are applauded for it. Women who do that are labeled difficult, whiny, high maintenance, and dramatic. As a result, women are much less likely than men to ask for a raise at work. Men ask because they feel it is right. The outcome, on average, women are still paid almost 25% less than men for the same work. Despite an effort towards salary parity, especially among the younger generation, there is still an unspoken message that women should not make too much noise, lest it prove unpleasant for the people around them. So, and it's not to say that we have to go out there and fight the battle, and we have a hard time communicating, but you have to really think about it, because in some cases you think that you can, and sometimes you can't. And that voice inside of us is really important, and the communication in the relationship is important. I also wanted to say that there are many books out there that talk about online dating sites, and I'm aware of that. We did a lot of research on it. But what I know, after so many years in this industry and so many years of researching, that I am a firm believer in online dating. I have seen so many positive things. Like, people have walked in the door tonight. People are engaged. People are happy. And whether you choose a matchmaker, whether you choose to go online, you have to date smart. You have to recognize your lifestyle today. Lifestyle is very critical. I have, many times I'll hear, a woman will come to me or a man will come to me and he'll say, well, I'm almost retired. I have plenty of time to travel. My kids are out of the house and I really want to meet somebody, in their early 50s. And I say, well, most women in their early 50s are raising kids. They're on the soccer field handing out watermelon. Do you really want to go back and do that? Is that what you want? Because in your life, you could travel. You could do what you want. So it's really important to take a look at your lifestyle today and say, what is my life today? Am I working full time? Am I traveling all the time? Do I have young kids? Are my kids out of the house? Because ultimately, it won't work out unless your lifestyles mesh. So you have to really think about that, and that's part of dating smart. So it's time, it's time management, it's about going online, it's about knowing yourself, it's about trying to love yourself for where you are today and get to that place, because when you do, you can be very successful in finding somebody, the right partner. The other thing I wanted to mention about online sites that I think is so great, it's so big. I mean, you've got so many different sites. I mean, my favorite, of course, is Match.com. The issue with Match.com, it's an ocean. So how do you change the ocean to the pond? How do you make it your pond? How do you make it where it's easy for you to find and search, right? So you have to be really methodical about it. You have to really take the time when you use online sites, especially something as big as Match. That's the time. Make sure you write that right profile, right photos. It's all in here. There's books everywhere, talks about it. And then taking on another site, another littler site. But people always ask me, well, what's your favorite online site? I'm going to say Match.com, especially for the older generation. We really don't want to swipe right, swipe left. The dating apps with the Tinder and the Bumble and all those things. I mean, it's really fun and entertaining, but I'm not a big fan. It's just for me to have the screen up and being able to navigate the site really easily. As we get older, technology is a little challenging. You got the app on the phone and you're like, so as far as online dating, I've been working through Match.com since I was 2008, and I'm a firm believer in it, and it's just using it right and feeling. And then the other one last thing before I want to take some questions and I'll answer your questions. Many people are afraid to use online dating sites. There's there's stories out there, and they can be scary. But I've been doing this since 2008, every day. Saturdays, sometimes Sundays. That's almost 9 years. I have never come across anybody married, dangerous. I have not. In fact, I am so inspired by the people that put themselves out there, because it takes a ton of courage to say, I'm going to get out there again and I'm going to put my face out there and I'm going to give it a shot, because so many people connect that way, whether it's a husband again, or if it's a partner or a companion, a friendship. It's just a wonderful way, and we are so lucky. I say all the time, almost 30 years in the industry, we are so lucky to have online dating sites, because it really opens up your world, and it's a great way to connect with people. So anyway, I'm very excited to, like I said, to speak, to talk about this in my work and about love and my belief in it. And I think that's it. That's what I want to share, and I've loved questions Yes.
What is one of the biggest mistakes women and men make with online dating profiles?
Okay, so a lot of times when you are searching on online sites, what happens a lot is you'll see a photo that you're really attracted to, right? They always say that men are attracted, the photos. Well, we are too. So we look at the photos. We look at the photos and we say, wow, that person looks really great. And then they look at certain things. Are they married? Are they divorced? Are they widowed? How tall? What's the income? Did they go to college? What's their now it's politics is a big one. Religion. But what they don't do is they don't read the full profile. When you look at like a Match.com profile, again I'm saying Match because I so many great stories about that site. But you can see from the top to the bottom, everything is in there. You have to read the entire profile. It will tell you if they're open to your religion. It will tell you their politics. It will tell you if they want more kids. You have to take the time. So many times, women and men make mistakes. They go based on a few things and not really reading it. And so that's I think one of the biggest mistakes that they make.
Thank you.
Any other questions? Yes?
Related to that, do you feel like people are honest on these when they fill out their profile? Are they mostly honest, or is there? You have to
Okay, so that's a
that.
good question. So women, we tend to lie a little bit about age and weight. Men tend to lie about height. A lot of times. And so here's the thing about that. I say in my book, you want to bring your honest self to the table, right? You have to. Because why would you want to go out on a date and walk in the door and have him say, you look a lot older than I get that all the time. And I said, well, you know what? Why did you put, you're 65, you gotta own it. You weren't you're 58. I mean, and the thing about it is, I mean, someone asked me my age, I kind of dropped in a year or two. I mean, I really, but the funny thing is about online now is that you have so many social media outlets, you can really find things out. I mean, you really can. I mean, a lot of people are so transparent. You'll see a photo, you'll find a phone number. I mean, people are going to the extent of doing reverse phone lookups. And so, I mean, there's just the way technology is. I mean, we really don't have that much privacy. So lying about your age and lying on profiles is really not the greatest thing to do. And the other thing is, if you want a little trick that I know about photos, okay, so online sites. Okay, so when you have photos up, there's multiple photos. You got to flip carefully through the photos and look at the neck. You can tell age through the neck. Just look at the photos. I always look right there. I look at watch the hands. You can see, if you focus and take the time, you can see how old the photos are, and you can actually figure it out. So yes, people do tend to lie. They do. We try to encourage them not to. Yes.
Do you recommend a person going and doing a social media search, like when they find somebody, oh, I'm attracted to that person, that they search them and just find out everything else they can outside?
Yes, and they'll also do it with you too. So I think, I get this. Like, I saw him on Facebook. He has 50 mutual friends. I'm like, great, good joke, hey. So it's funny about the way social media works is that we do use it, and I suggest using it. I think, one of the things I always say to women, and I believe men should do it too, is don't go out on a date unless you talk to somebody on the phone. We're very intuitive, and you want to get them on the phone. You want to see how their social skills are. You want to be able to say, do we have a connection? You want to verify the profile. The thing about online dating is you've got to humanize the process. I'm old-fashioned. Like, I believe in old-fashioned ways. And I think online dating, if you can humanize it, and what I mean by that is don't be afraid to give out your phone number. If the man's interested, he's going to pick up the phone, he's going to call you. He's going to call. Hi, Lisa, this is Tom. That's how you humanize the process. That's how, the way it used to be. And I like that. But back to your question, yes, I definitely would look and find out on social media. It's a good thing to validate the profile. It makes you feel better too. Heather.
So there's a part in the book, and I haven't finished it, that you wrote and used an analogy about, it's from the Harvard Business Review, about surfing, and that it's about the process.
Yeah.
Ends up the same. And it's one of the things that I've certainly experienced with my girlfriends is that they don't enjoy the process.
I know.
So I want to hear what you had to say more about that.
Well, it's, you know, a lot of people don't enjoy the process of dating, which is why we tend to stay in relationships that we don't want to stay in, because the thought about going back out there is miserable. And we'd rather stay. And dating is supposed to be fun, right? You got to go into it thinking it's going to be fun. And if you date smart, and I keep saying it, date smart, you will be able to find your way to meet people, sit across the table from somebody that you will enjoy. There might not be the chemistry, but you should walk out of that date saying, I really enjoyed my time. What a great friend, what a great man. That's what you have to do. Dating is so discouraging. And that's why I'm the cheerleader. I got the pom-poms, I'm ready to go because I love it, because I can see the result. I can see through the tunnel. I'm like, we can get there, but we have to get there together. And the one thing that women do many times is when we ride passenger seat, we're in the back seat, we're raising our children, we're taking care of our husband, we're taking care of our parents, we are caretakers. But guess what? Now when we're older, we get to be the driver. We get to be the one, we're in charge of that highway. And dating has to be fun. If you go into it saying, I want to find love, I'm gonna take my time, and I'm gonna figure out where I'm at today, and I'm gonna look at my lifestyle, and I'm gonna look at who I am today, not where I was 5 years ago, not where I see myself 5 years ahead, where I am right now. And really saying, I like who I am, I like me. Because when you get to that place, you say, I like me, and I wanna meet somebody, you're on your way. Dating is supposed to be fun. It's up and down, but it should be fun. That's what I want. Yeah, yes.
Okay, I've heard you successfully coach people through their first dating experience.
Yes.
And you're really good, and it's nerve-wracking. How long should the date be?
Yeah.
Where do you go? And how do you end it? And how do you know it's going really well? And how do you know it's not going so well? So I think I've heard you do that. And I think that's very helpful if you tell us a little bit more about that.
Going back and dating after not doing it for a long time, there's a lot of anxiety. I mean, it's different, and it's different when you're older and you got married at a young age. Dating was different. So now dating has changed. So my suggestion, I'm not much for coffee dates, but I think meeting for coffee or tea is nice. Not at Starbucks or Pete's. Everybody knows you're on a date. So embarrassing. Starbucks. So I don't mind the coffee and the tea, but there's so many fun places. I mean, even the Book Passage, coming here and having a nice date. I have to say, I do encourage women to meet after work. It's hard in the morning. You got to go places. Your mind's, if you're thinking 100 miles per hour, after work you can transition a little bit, and it's the evening. You look good, you feel good, you can relax. So what I suggest is 30 minutes to 45 minutes. Okay. And the exit strategy, even for men, I mean, this is not just for women, this is for men. You got to have an exit strategy. You got to know if it's going to work or not. Now, if you date, but I will tell you, if you do it right, you're going to enjoy whoever you're out with. You got to really know in your mind that if I do this right, I'm going to have a great time with this person no matter what. But how you want to leave? Well, I mean, you just make it very clear. Decide, let's meet for a drink or appetizer. You don't have to drink alcohol. You can have sparkling water, and meet for 30 to 45 minutes. If it's going well, a lot of people will have dinner together, but I recommend going into it where you've got like an hour and then you go. I think it's good to do that, and then go home and figure out enjoy the next part of the date, which is the second date.
I was just wondering what the chances are of a long-term relationship finding people online, and did you have any luck finding a long-term relationship in the time that you've been doing this?
Oh, yes. As far as my clients getting married, yeah, so what's really great about that is, not everybody wants to remarry. right? So a lot of people that are divorced want to find somebody where they can have a companion. Again, you have to figure out, do I want a companion, or do I want to have an intimate a relationship with somebody? You got to figure that out, right? So everybody comes to me with different feelings or different ideas of what they want. So many divorced don't necessarily want to remarry. So when I define success, I define success as, are you meeting the right type of person? Are you in a place that you're attracting the right type of person? I would say I'd say 75 to 80% of my clients are dating somebody for over 3 months now. 75. Over 3 months. Now, does that mean it's going to work? I don't know. But they're happy. They're happy. And, happiness for me is so important. When I hear, last night I had I get so stressed out. My client was meeting somebody. I was all happy, and I literally wait. I look at my phone. I'm like, did they get a text? Was it good? Was it not? And I panic. I woke up and she didn't call me. I said, why? What happened with Joel? And she called me on the phone, and she said it was a great day. And I work with women for a long time. Sometimes it takes time, right? But you got to be in it. You got to be in it, and you got to say, I'm going to do this. And so she had a great date. They had great, happy to hear that. But yes, I've had a lot of success. I mean, they're engaged. I've got people that are together now, so it's exciting. And I think that's what keeps me going. Is that keeps me going for sure.
And what about you?
I'm married.
Oh.
Where's my husband? He thinks I'm nuts when I was out. He already knew I was nuts when we got married, and then when I was out fighting men in 2008, he's like, yeah, that's my wife. I literally had nicknames. What did I have? It was the Huntress, the Manhunter. I was given a bow and arrow. I mean, it was crazy, and he was just like, whatever you need, that's fine. And I'm so appreciative, because it takes a lot of patience to be married to me on many levels, but particularly with my line of work. So yes, I've been with my husband 17 years, 21 years together. We have 3 children. And he's a saint.
Years and I wrote a book, and you seem to know so much about the dating part. I thought you were dating all the time. And I was wondering if you landed anybody permanently after all that. Okay.
Yeah. You had a question?
Yeah, I tend to be very private, and just this idea of putting like everything about me out there so that somebody can really get to know me, for anybody to see, is really intimidating. What do you recommend?
So what's great about what's happening with technology, especially like let's take Match.com, and we could do OkCupid. We could take a lot of different sites. They have these features now. This is new, and it allows you to be on a private mode, so you don't have to be hidden, but you can be on a private mode, so that only the people that you reach out to will see your photo. So you're completely private. So if you're online, I love that feature. It actually has been a great feature. It's very similar to a matchmaking company, actually. And I found it to be brilliant that Match.com added that feature to it, because it does allow you to reach out and search without being seen. And again, the only person that can see you is the man that you've chosen. But they don't. But here's the thing about that: they can't see you, but other men can't see you, because the inbound can be a lot of fun. By the way, it's kind of entertaining when you get a lot of emails like, "Wow, I look great. This is kind of fun." It gets a little old, but anyway. So that's how you do it. And I understand privacy. I really do. And, but don't let the privacy and that part of the fear, stop you. You don't want to do that, because there's so many wonderful men out there. And so I suggest do the private mode.
Okay.
Yeah.
Hi, I had a friend that was doing some online dating, and she complained to me that a lot of the guys were the same guys over and over, like they were the serial
The trollers? Yeah, so look, yes, there are some men and women that are on there, but in some of them, they've been on there for a long time. Yes, but that doesn't necessarily mean that they're not interested in having a commitment. I mean, sometimes I've had a client that's been on for a long time. So it just depends. Yes, there are some people, some men and women, that tend to be on there for a long time. And that's just the way it is. But I have to tell you that every day I go on these sites, new people are constantly popping up. And this is, by the way, the peak dating season, fall. Everybody wants to, just to let you know. Because everybody's like back from the summer and they want to, you know, it's Christmas is coming, and holidays and parties, so this is a good time. But just, you know, you'll start seeing the same people. But that doesn't necessarily rule them out either. Not all the time.
Do you recommend when you're writing your profile that you state, say, you know, I don't want to be married again, I just want to date and get to know people, or I want to get married again?
I do.
That you state that on your profile, that you be very clear.
Yeah.
If you know.
You want to be very clear on your profile, right? You don't want to come across like, this is, you know, very, you know, you want to come across in a way that you say, yeah, this is what I'm looking for. I'm looking for love and a connection, but at this time in my life, what worked for me is developing a relationship slowly, or I'm really looking to get married. Like, I read a lot of these profiles and I see transparency is key. You want to write what you want. You want to say, this is what I want. Because the man that's reading it, that it's going to resonate with him and you hear from him, he wants the same thing. Most likely he's looking for the same thing. So I really recommend writing that, for sure. Absolutely.
Do women find it difficult to describe themselves, having to write about themselves?
Yes. It's really hard to write that I'm super great, attractive, smart, kind, generous, and make, you know, it is hard. So, you know, that's tough. But it's actually, I have to say, when you write about yourself, it really is quite therapeutic. You know, you write about what you feel good about. It's really good to sit there and say, well, what are my positive attributes? Well, and write about that and say who you are, because that's who you are, right? And you want to say, this is me, right? This is what I have to offer. That's a power. That's what you want to say. And you want to read that because that's who you are and that's how you feel about yourself. And that's really good. Questions, anyone? Wait, what was I gonna, there was one thing I wanted to say. Oh, it's funny because I was listening this morning. We had our school mass, and our pastor, Father Joes, was talking about love. Connie, you were there. Where's Connie and Jamie? And just talking about love. And the whole homily was about love. I thought, this is so fitting. I'm going to talk about love, and he's talking about love. And the one thing that I will tell you is that there's so much fear too with finding love, and that's normal. But love is here and fear is here. It's two different emotions. Don't marry the two. You have to have love here and fear has to go here, because you don't want to have the fear. You want to try. It's normal to be fearful, but it's really important to recognize that fear can hold you back. And I deal with it all the time with women and men that I work for. They're afraid. But so I'm going to end. The one thing I didn't do is I want to end this. Does anybody have any more questions? Any more questions? Okay. This is a big important part that I want to share, and it's what I really believe in. And it's optimism and resilience, maintaining your marathon mindset. If you've been divorced or widowed, you've experienced a great loss already, and you have survived. But much of how you move forward will be determined by what you focus on. If the loss is what you think about the most, you are likely to be more fearful and cautious and even stuck when it comes to entering the dating world. If the fact that you have survived, and in fact might even be in a better place, now takes precedence in your thoughts, you have a healthy, good dose of optimism already at work. Optimism is important in the dating world because things generally do not progress in a linear way. You will meet men who are interesting to you or are not interested in you. You will sometimes go for long periods between meeting men. You will meet someone interesting and date for a while, but ultimately it will not work out. All of these situations are normal, and none of them indicate that you will never meet the right person. They will be interspersed with times where you meet many interesting men, go out on fun dates, get lots of positive feedbacks, and with effort and luck, eventually meet someone for the long term. Regardless how things happen on your romance journey, you have to stay optimistic and resilient. Thank you.